Ia fáiltar óbhaisteach di Radio Maria era. Díagad a Roisin.
Díagad a Father.
Días Muragud. Did they learn you any Irish over in Tala at all?
Níl long gael agam.
Don't be a guy. Tá tú ábalta on cúpla focal árá agus you're able to pray a little bit at the Mass as well too, so that's great. So how are you, Roisin?
I'm well, thank God. Yeah.
Good. You have your UCC colours on today. They're the colours of the University College Cork.
Oh, right.
Black and red. But they have a skull and crossbones as part of their...
right. Well, they're also the County Down colours.
County Down. I figured they'd be the north of Ireland too. So good.
Well, all my people are from County Down, you know.
That's good.
And like the O'Hagan's father, they were the lawgivers to the O'Neills.
Oh, well, like, what can I say? She's still giving laws. It's in the blood. Very welcome to Radio Maria Ireland. Thanks for your company here. Do please participate, join in, let us know, talk to us, write to us, email us, and do all those other things. Roisin, if you do the honours, please.
Our numbers here our telephone number 014123456, and Thomas is down there today. And from outside of Ireland, it'd be plus 353 1412 3456, or you can text or WhatsApp at 089 467 2000, and from outside of Ireland it's plus 353 89 467 2000, and you could email at info@radiomaria.ie. and then again, if you'd like to write, it's Radio Maria Ireland, St Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22.
There you are, D22 or 7W2.
Oh, right, sorry,
or
Father.
7W2. So great, that's the postcode. It's a kind of easy way to find us if you're driving here, even in fact as well on Google thingy,
right,
Google Maps.
It'll tell you how to get there. Very
That's
good.
the new thing now, Roisin. You can put your your air code into Google Maps and it'll take you straight there.
Wonderful.
It's fantastic. Amazing technology altogether. So they know where we are every hour of the day now. They'll be listening in on the phone and who knows what and everything else. Do you know there's a little gizmo called Alexa?
Yes,
I've
I've heard of it all right. Yes.
It's like a little loudspeaker that stands in the middle here, and it's if you have Wi-Fi at home and you have this Alexa thing and it's connected to it, you can just give it a voice command and it'll do what you want it to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, I have it at home in my Seamus's house, Father. I've seen the children telling it to do.
Okay. Will they be giving out to it?
I'm kind of mesmerised looking at them, you know.
Alexa, is it really my time to go to bed now? What does Alexa think? Well, we have some listeners who do use it, and it's just a thought, a consideration if you're one of those who find the internet a bit bamboozling. If you have somebody who can help you with the technology to set yourself up with an Alexa, and all you do is you say, Alexa, play Radio Maria Ireland.
And actually, Father, I have to admit, Seamus bought me one. Oh. And I
didn't set
use
it up at all? Okay.
No, but and then I gave it to my daughter.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. It's getting used.
It's getting used, yes.
So it's a very useful device if it is that, again, you find the technology just too much to handle. You can talk to it and say, so you say Alexa and it kind of wakes up or whatever, and then you tell it to tune into Radio Maria Ireland. Or indeed you can ask it to do all sorts of other things too while you're at it. Ask what time is it in Australia or something, or or look up things on the internet, and she'll talk back to you with her voice.
I'll maybe get it back, so Father.
This is it. You can ask her to tell you jokes, and she'll do that as well. I think the phone might do that for you as well. The only snag is, and this is the thing I'd be worried about, and I just don't know what the answer is if she can hear you kind of talking, asking questions like that, or it can hear you, it can hear you, then surely there is somebody at the other end possibly listening to everything you're saying.
Of course, I'd imagine so.
So if you're having kind of private or personal conversations, then I just, that kind of worries me a little bit. But there was the man, I remember we were over in Italy at one of our gatherings for the World Family of Radio Maria, and one of these companies came in, was trying to get us on board with their technology, because they knew all of the priests there were all running radio stations, so they were handing them out for free. So I got one, and I kind of got it half set up, But I did ask the expert there at the time. I said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you the question of what is the story? Is it possible that this device can actually be listening to you all the time?" And he said, "Well, yes." And I said, "Well, what about GDPR and all that stuff? What about your own private privacy, let's say?"
Yes.
And he said, "Well, that technology has been worked on, and the regulation for it is being worked on, and it's."
Right. I don't know whether it's still going or not.
And one of the lads says, "Well, I know where I'll put mine. I'll put mine in the bathroom." And you can be listening to all you want in there, So, anyways, it's just one of those things. But you see, the same could be true of our smartphones.
Oh, really?
That,
Gosh.
like, you can talk to your smartphone, it'll give you directions or whatever.
Yes.
And in theory, I suppose it could be listening, or it could be watching through the camera. I mean, I don't know. I don't care. If you are listening, I hope you're listening to Radio Maria and saying your prayers, whatever, if you are. So.
Oh, that's fantastic, Father.
For the most part, you'd be saying, "Well, what would they be listening to? How boring would that be?" Like,
gosh, how things have improved and gone on since I was young, Father. My gosh.
Yeah. Yes.
When televisions came on the scene, and there was nobody had one, in the road, and then some family got one, and all the children on the road were down looking in through the
Staring in the window, yeah.
at the television. So my father bought one then to keep us from doing that.
That's right. Yeah, when I was a slight, maybe a half generation ahead of you, maybe, Roisin, because in my day we had a black and white television.
Oh, yeah, it was a black and white television he got. That was it.
The neighbours had a colour TV, so I was looking in the window at the colour TV.
All right. No.
So,
they were all black and white in those days for us.
And we used to, as kids, and there was loads of kids growing up. It was lovely actually back in my neighbourhood, but we used to play, we made up our own games. We called it TV programs, it was called. And the idea was, the street was just like a road wide with a footpaths obviously on either side, and the two garden walls then sort of opposite each other. So we'd stand, we'd have one group of kids on one wall, standing all and facing the one who was kind of the leader, let's say, or whatever, on the far side, and TV programs. So the guy who was the leader, or the girl, would spell out the initials of a television program, and you'd have to guess
what it was.
And if you guessed it right, there'd be a race then. So the person who was leading would run across, touch your wall, and run back, and the one who got the answer right would race over and touch that wall again. And if you got there first, then you swapped and you became the leader, and you said the next guess. So one of the guests, or one of the TV programs was always TN. And what was TN? Go back now to the 1970s.
I don't remember.
There weren't too many television programs going. TN, of course, is the news.
Oh, that was right.
Across the
Then
road.
news.
Yeah,
All
it's my
right.
turn.
I understand it now. Very good.
So we were kids, we'd make up these things, but we spent more time outside. We weren't glued to the screens the way they can be now.
They kind of, with computers and all sorts of things now, Father, continuously on it,
And you wonder, again, you'd be like, even for us older folk, again, you'd glued to the device, and it can't be so healthy at all, certainly for young people and children like that.
Yeah, because it can get through to all sort of rubbish.
This is the trouble, and like the opposite then, if we're not glued to those things, like we were as kids, we were outside playing, and it's great social interaction. I mean, it's just normal activity for a kid to be running around kicking a ball and kicking the ball into the neighbour's garden, who would keep the ball, or puncture the ball, that kind of thing.
Oh no!
That's right. Yeah. And we were bold kids as well. I remember there was a neighbour up near the pitch where we used to play. And he was one of those neighbours who wasn't too keen on kids kicking balls into his garden and so on. But I just remembered, this is a funny thing. The license registration on his car was BZO. The
yes,
old license plate.
Yeah.
So he got the unkind nickname of Bozo. And if Bozo was around, well, your ball was in trouble if you didn't. If you'd be very careful. So kids,
oh my gosh,
boys back in those days, I'm sure. So God rest him now. I presume he's long since dead and gone to God, and that all that is just ancient history.
I was very blessed, Father, because we lived in Raheny, and we lived in front of St. Anne's Park. and right across
Oh,
the
lovely.
road was this enormous big woods and parks and things, and
Nice.
it was spent hours climbing up and down all the trees
Yeah.
and trying to get from branch to branch. When you think about it now, you know.
Yeah. And perfectly safe and enjoying yourselves.
Well, we did. Nobody fell off, thank God.
Yeah. No worries or anything about kids being out and around and playing.
No.
They were great days, really, in a way. But that's certainly what we would hope for our kids. I think, there's so much put on for them now as well in the way of activities. It is good. I know parents have to work very hard to keep their kids
a lot of mums
active.
and dad are both working, and it's really hard. What things are changing.
And if the children want to be active in, I don't know what, the Girl Guides or the Scouts or in wall climbing or whatever they'd be doing, it's a lot of energy for parents to have to
do it. Yeah.
follow it through. So it's a great vocation.
We have a rugby player in my house, Father Seamus. He was a rugby player, and now his son is playing rugby.
Wow.
He's down training all the others.
All right, good. Well, and that's very good for them. Absolutely brilliant for children to have that. Yeah. And they'll be at the match today, probably.
Oh yeah, please God,
or
yes.
watching it anyway,
yes,
maybe.
Yeah.
Rugby, big deal on.
I think it's on the television, Father.
On the telly, sure, fair enough. It was only over the road when you were living in Dublin. It's kind of handy as well too.
Yeah, to get down to it. Yeah.
It's very good. And we're reminiscing there of times gone by and the telly, TN, the news. So St. Agatha today, Roisin.
Yeah, it was lovely. I was reading a little bit about her this morning, Father.
And Agatha's a Greek word.
She was was killed, like she was murdered.
Yeah, horrible death that she had. They were very cruel to her. But Agatha, I think, meaning good. Agape, if you're familiar with that word, agape in Greek is charity.
Oh, right.
Agatha is Greek for good. And around the year 250 or so, I think, when she was martyred, virgin and martyr, in Sicily. And she was included. There isn't much, I don't think, detail here according to my book on her, but there's a martyrology of St. Jerome, which is a list of all of those who died for the faith, and her name is listed there. And as you heard this morning on the first Eucharistic prayer, she's listed with all the women saints there.
Yes.
Can you rattle them off?
Oh gosh, no, Father, but there was quite a list of them.
Agnes, Cecilia,
and
Anastasia,
yes.
Yeah.
No.
Agatha, Lucy,
yes.
they're
There was
all
quite a lot. I read down through them,
And these are all the great heroic martyred saints of their church, which is why they're in that prayer which is called the Roman Canon, or the first Eucharistic prayer. And because it's so long, we don't hear it that often.
That's true, Father, yes.
Often. I try to pray it at least once, maybe twice a week, at least once anyway, here in when I'm on air, so that, again, we get a variety. I use the fourth Eucharistic prayer. Sometimes you see that too. Just again to get the sense and the richness of the different Eucharistic prayers in the Mass.
Yes.
And
the amount of people who suffered, Lord,
Oh, don't be talking. She's still suffering. They say there's more martyrs in the church these times than back in those early years. All over the world. So this man tells me here in her story, they describe her as a wealthy girl who had vowed her virginity to Christ. And the consul Quintinian invoked imperial edicts against Christianity to attempt her seduction. And she was handed over to Aphrodisia. I'm not sure if that's the actual, you heard the word aphrodisiac, but he put her into a brothel. Horrible way to treat her. And she was tortured. I maybe won't go into the details there because it wasn't very pleasant. But apparently, even though tortured and mutilated, she was miraculously healed by a vision of St. Peter, apparently. But she died in prison as a result of her sufferings. She was invoked against fire, and particularly the eruptions of Mount Etna, and also against disease of the breast. So I suppose any women who are suffering with breast cancer or with any of those ailments we hear of, she's the patron saint, St. Agatha.
I had breast cancer too, Father, so survived it.
There you are. So St. Agatha's your best friend.
Yes.
Right there.
Wonderful. I didn't realise that now.
For that. There you are. Also the patron of Bell founders. I don't know why, but there we are. So, very good. So Palermo and Catania in Sicily, I guess, both claim to be her birthplace. So again, one of the early martyrs of the church, and very little known about her except the terrible sufferings that she endured and her martyrdom, and included as part of our Eucharistic prayer, the first one there in the Mass, along with, again, Cecilia, who was a martyr, Agnes, Cecilia, Lucy, Anastasia. I don't have them all right now. They're all in there anyway.
Yes.
So there we are. So these great witnesses to the faith. We are called to be witnesses today. Maybe not to that kind of graphic, awful suffering, but instead the day-to-day pains in the neck.
Oh yes, just to stand
and pains in the knees.
Stand up for God.
As we try to stand up for God as well. That's all part of it. Now, just to let you know about our Eucharistic conference this afternoon.
No, that's wonderful.
There's
Father,
a nice conference going on, and again, Father Marius and Fiona Kiley, the gang at Totus Tuus magazine. Did you get your latest edition of Totus Tuus?
Father,
you can take one away too. We've got a few spares.
No, thank you,
Some
Father.
great articles in there.
Oh, he's wonderful. It's a beautiful book, Father.
It is, lots of meditation. And,
Yes.
and they're kind of the bite-sized articles that you'd read over a cup of coffee.
Yes,
And
yes.
you'd pick it up again at the next cup of coffee or whatever, you know. You'd get through it nicely. But from 2 to 5 this afternoon, our conference will feature Antoinette Moynihan.
All
Did you
right.
ever meet Antoinette? She's Sarah's mum.
I think I did years ago, now, Father, years ago. I did, I think, yes.
She does that apostolate of children of the Eucharist.
Oh, right.
She goes on schools and parishes and done Trojan work all over the place, but bringing children into the real presence
Yes.
and organising all of that and everything that goes with it, and really encouraging them to come to the Lord. Amazing work,
Yes.
fabulous work. And Antoinette is great altogether. Sure, Sarah was with us for a year and a bit, wasn't she?
Oh, she
And,
was wonderful,
great
yes.
work.
And she's having
She-
a big day soon.
Having a big day. You didn't get to meet her fiancé when she came in there.
No, I
a
wasn't
couple
here,
of weeks ago.
unfortunately, yes.
Mario, yeah, fine man. He's been working with Mary TV in Medjugorje for years.
Yeah.
And of course, they met in Medjugorje, and the
Yeah.
wedding will be in Medjugorje.
Oh,
of
gosh,
course.
that's fantastic, Father. When are they getting married?
The
Quite
end of
soon.
December, please God.
Oh,
the end of
right.
December, yeah.
This year,
yeah.
right.
So there's a kind of an open invitation to all and sundry.
Wow. Yeah, well,
well,
Medjugorje is a fantastic place. You've
eh,
been there, Father.
No, haven't been.
Oh, you have
Haven't
to go
been.
now for the
So
wedding.
I have an excuse to go now.
Absolutely,
right.
yes.
As if I didn't have one already. But yeah, the end, she's asking all her friends, I think, to come along. I don't suppose there will be that many travelling, although it'll be kind of Christmas week off, maybe, or
Yes,
Christmas
yes.
sort of lull. It may be possible.
Be lovely.
But I think they're having some little celebration here at home by way of those who
Ah,
can
yes,
travel
but yes, yes.
for it as well. Now, the big question is where they'll end up living, of course, in Ireland or in
gosh.
Croatia. It'll be a challenge for them.
Yes.
Anyway, God bless her. That's Antoinette's daughter Sarah we're speaking of. So Antoinette will be speaking with this afternoon as part of the Eucharistic conference.
Wonderful.
Father John Mokler as well, priest of the Diocese of Limerick and great warrior and apostle in his own right in his own prayer ministry. The Servant Sisters of the Home of the Mother. I'm not sure which one, or maybe several of them may be speaking to us. They're doing marvellous work again around the country. They're in my own diocese. I think there's another group of them elsewhere, I think up the country too. And like these new religious communities which have come to Ireland.
They're coming over from America and all different places, yes.
Yeah, even though the Home of the Mother, I think, are Spanish in origin.
Oh, right,
But they're doing absolutely terrific work, really.
Yes.
Terrific work. And Father Marty O'Shea, then, who's a priest of the Society of Our Lady of the Trinity. SOLT is the initials there. So some great speakers there, very experienced and great speaker, sort of, what's the word? Apostles, I suppose.
Yes.
Dynamic people involved in great work. So it'll be on air here between 2 and 5. And if you're not able to tune in, maybe you want to watch the match instead. That's okay too. But they will be available as podcasts afterwards, and we'll certainly repeat them as well. So there you are. So that's the Eucharistic Congress. And don't forget as well, the Divine Mercy Conference is coming up later in the month, the 25th through to the 27th.
Right.
So Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday. So
Great. And Don will be involved in that.
Don will
He's
be
always
involved
involved in
with
it.
that. Yeah,
He used to
mighty
run
man.
it over here in the hotel
Oh, it started in the hotel?
Yeah,
is it? Wow.
years
wow.
ago.
Yeah, because this is does it say it here? I know it's about the 31st, I think, or 30th, 31st conference.
Yeah.
Been at it for years.
Yeah,
wow.
used to be over there.
That's the hotel going. Of course, they moved to the RDS and it's massive there. And has decided against the RDS this year again, just because there were bound to be a number of people who were still a little bit worried and a bit concerned.
Yeah, afraid to come.
And just, again, not taking any chances, but it'll be online, and we'll be broadcasting a good share of it. I don't know that we'll be able to broadcast everything, but I think we're certainly hoping to include Father Hayden Williams, the priest from Malta. A healing workshop, 7:15. That'll be on the Friday night, the 25th. And Bishop Fonzie then will celebrate Mass at 8 o'clock. So that'll be on the Friday the 25th. So we'll certainly have those two.
Covered, yes.
And please God, then on the Saturday, Father Billy Swan is on in the morning, but we're just looking at the breakdown, the times there. We might not really be able to fit everything in, and just tie it in with our routine of prayer. So we'll join in the afternoon. Father Robert McNamara will be there for reconciliation service. Deacon Don will do the Stations of the Cross on the Saturday afternoon. Dr. Mary Healy will speak about the Holy Eucharist at 4 to 5, so tying in very nicely with our conference this afternoon. And we'll join Father Pat Collins for Holy Mass at 5, and we'll just push our own prayers onwards a little bit. Evening prayer and rosary after 6. Father Brendan Walsh then does a Eucharistic healing service then in the evening of the Saturday. So on the Sunday then, we will certainly do our best to join in for whatever talks there, although we have our Masses usually. But into the afternoon, Father Michael Maher will be on Our Blessed Lady, and Archbishop Dermot Farrell, Holy Mass then as well. So that'll be at 3:15. So we'll forego our knock connection on the Sunday, and we'll have the Archbishop of Dublin and the Divine Mercy Conference instead. So if it is again that we miss out on one or two of the talks, we'll just podcast them and replay them.
Yes, you can listen in again, which is marvellous.
You can, of course. And again, you can always join on the Divine Mercy Conference website too, to connect in with them and stay with it right throughout the day. So there it is, very good. Some great speakers lined up there again, and some great topics, and of course lots and lots of prayer. That's Divine Mercy.
That's all about, isn't it?
And please God, Don will be giving that a little plug over the course of the coming weeks as well. We have a jingle or two already done that he's put up on air. And the strong recommendation with the Divine Mercy course, because it won't be live and in person, but to get to confession yourself somehow, maybe in your own local church. The hope would be that some priests at least would put on the confessions as they would be normally, I suppose, in parishes on a Saturday, but especially maybe for the Divine Mercy. Some of the bigger churches or cathedrals might make an extra little effort to have confession available for participants in the conference, virtual participants, let's say.
It'd be fantastic, Father.
And if not, certainly, make the effort to get confession yourself. Pop over to the Dominicans there in Tal. I'm sure they have confessions on regularly.
They do, as far as they do. But there are no confessions in our church.
Oh, sure.
For years.
Listen, it's sad. It's the case in some churches.
Yes,
it's the case. So we have to shop around. We have to, knock on the door. Don't give up at all.
Please forgive me. Let me in.
That's right. That's right. Or I think Clarendon Street in the city, they're very good. The here in Dublin, regular confessions there daily, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly most of the day of a Saturday. And I'm sure there's many others around the city too. So down in Cork, I know I pop in variously to the Franciscans there in Liberty Street, or the just grab hold of one of the priests in the Augustinians, And it's nice there from time to time. I'd go into confession, and when I'd finish, I'd always say I'm a priest coming to confession, because it makes a difference when you're confessing your sins that, hey, you're a priest, you should know better than this, you shouldn't be doing these things.
You know exactly what you've done wrong, Father.
Right, exactly. And it's lovely there from time to time. The priest will say, would you mind hearing my confession as well?
Not lovely.
So it's sort of
that's a fantastic
a mutual
thing to do.
It's kind of like a doctor going to a doctor,
Well, it is. It's fantastic, Father, because it's so hard now to get to confession now. I find I used to always go to Father Colin.
Oh, yes.
And now he's out in Swords, so.
Okay. You'll have to find another one.
Yes,
there's no
absolutely.
fear. There's no fear. Keep shopping around. And there's no excuse really, I suppose, in that we're not so short of priests that it's impossible altogether.
I used to go to the Pro Cathedral too, Father, when I'd be going to Trinity. I'd go in there and they'd have the Mass, and then after Mass they'd have the confessions.
Okay.
I don't know if they're still doing it now or not, I don't know.
Yes. I should hope so. Hope so. But like that, the bigger churches, cathedrals certainly make a little extra effort. They'd have more footfall, let's say. And the religious communities are always good. Like the Franciscans in Killarney used to drop down there when I was ministering down that side of the county. Always reliable there, drop in. So don't be shy at all. Your nearest big town. I know when I was in Macroom, kind of the big town of a large hinterland, there would be people who come in from all around. We have a couple of priests hearing confessions there of a Saturday afternoon. So do please, as part of the Divine Mercy, and as Lent is looming, I suppose, to be the 2nd of March is Ash Wednesday.
God bless, the time is flying, Father.
And here we are, the 5th of February, near the first week of February, nearly gone already. So, you know, not child in the house washed. Get yourself straightened up and...
Oh my God.
So good. Anyways, do please get in touch with us. Do feel free to be part of the conversation. Thanks indeed for that too. Well, here we are. It's interesting. Eilish has sent in a message here. I've heard of this movie now, but I haven't watched it. She says the movie The Social Dilemma explains how the tech companies use technology to manipulate and influence society. Never seen that movie, Social Dilemma. But it's true. Like it's happening all the time because so much is digitized. Even like all the shopping we do.
Yes.
You know, the shops
order online and all this. Yes.
But they have kind of a record of the customers' patterns and so on. And you know, they set things up. That's why the milk and the bread are always in the back of the shop.
All right.
Because everybody goes in for milk and bread. So if you're looking for milk, you know you have to walk through, you know,
so
a
you're
quarter
seeing
of a mile.
everything else on the way.
Correct. And then I see in a shop near me at home in Cork, they reconfigure the shop so that you walk through a barrage of sweets and sweet things as you're coming in the door now. Kind of weaving through all of this.
Poor mammies must be having
and
a hard
like,
time.
Come on, when you just arrived at the shop and you're bombarding me with this, and then you're getting it at the checkout on the way out.
Oh, yes.
So that's obviously where they're making their bobs.
Yeah.
So certainly, this, you know, if you have one of these devices, it's being monitored and we are being manipulated, perhaps without realizing it. You know, interesting. And a lovely text from Mary as well. Good morning, Father Eamonn Roisin. Saint Agatha is topical now in regard to violence against women. Very appropriate indeed. And the secular media would say that society didn't recognise this, you know, that we somehow have been wanting in this. But she makes the very fair point. The Church has made saints of such women, especially as they put their faith first. Yes. So in terms of violence against women, the Church has been exalting these great saints in her prayer. So that's a very good point. Saint Maria Goretti, who was only 12 when she was attacked. She's a great case in point too. Yes. Not at all unlike Agatha in some ways. And such a marvellous saint. And again, talk about violence against women and abuse. The Church puts her forward as, you know, a sign. The story of her attacker is a story of redemption, and all because of the holiness of the child, and all are very relative to our own society. Very relevant, I think, is what she means to say there. Absolutely. And Alessandro Serenelli, of course, was the attacker, and it took him years in prison, and he had some kind of an apparition or something of Saint Maria Goretti, and repented and lived a life of great penance afterwards, and reconciled with her mum and with the community afterwards.
Yes, I remember reading that, yes.
Yeah, and was there at her canonization with Maria's mum.
Yes.
Jaw drop moment, like that somehow reconciliation was permitted. Most extraordinary story. So thanks, Mary, for reminding us of that. That's fantastic. Well done, and thanks, Eilish, too. And Catherine asking the question, how many known martyrs have we in Ireland?
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
I say we have a lot that are not known, Father.
Correct, yeah. Who's the most famous martyr, would you say, in Ireland?
Gosh.
I think of Drogheda. His head is up in St. Peter's Church there in Drogheda.
I know who you mean, his name now, Father, slipped my mind.
Yeah, he's martyred in 1601 or something like that.
Yes. I was in that church, Father.
You were St. Oliver Plunkett. Yes, there you are. He's certainly our most illustrious martyr, for sure, hung, drawn and quartered. Awful. But there's 17 Irish martyrs who are blessed. We have some of them in our litany of the Irish saints that you use there at
yes, after Mass.
at
Quite
the
a lot of them
Rosary.
after the Rosary. There's quite a lot there, Father.
You have it there in front of you, actually. Is there a list of the Irish martyrs? Give a flick through there. It's under the little section of the martyrs rather than...
There's 3 St. Coleman's.
Oh, we know that. That's totally confusing. Totally confusing. I think these lads are the first little group are the martyrs.
St. Killian, St. Romuald, St. Lavinius, St. Oliver Plunkett, Dominic Collins.
Yeah, they're blesseds now.
Dermot O'Hurley.
And companions.
And Blessed Margaret Ball. Yes, so she was in prison.
She died of neglect in prison. It's terrible.
And Blessed Francis Taylor.
Yeah. So like they're the named ones we would know.
Martyrs,
but the Irish martyrs, there's about 17 Irish martyrs would have been. They're all declared blessed,
right.
and any number of others that, again, as you say, are lesser known and not acclaimed for being martyrs as such, but no doubt sharing in that martyr's crown. So Dominic Collins is certainly a more famous one. Dermot O'Hurley was cruelly tortured. He was a bishop. Dominic was a Jesuit brother down in East Cork. Dermot O'Hurley was the Archbishop of Cashel. Margaret Ball was here in Dublin, and Meath is where she's venerated, and Francis Taylor is a Dublin man as well. Those martyrs back in the times of awful persecution. So thanks for that, Catherine. That's and all of those stories again deserving to be told. There's a book there that's been reprinted. The Irish martyrs is quite a martyrology of them, and there's a scatter of them in there. There's quite a lot of others to be accounted for. So great, well done. Let's pause for a little piece of music, if we may. And again, do please get in touch with us. Our number's there, Roisin.
You have telephone number 014123456. Or then again, you can text or WhatsApp at 089467200 or info@radiomaria.ie.
Very good, thanks so much. So do please get in touch or drop a comment here on our social media, like, share, follow and subscribe, and do connect in with us via Messenger on Facebook too. So a piece of music. I thank you, God, for is it most or this most amazing day? I think. We'll have time for a little bit of, I hope, Tara, Eric Whitaker, sung by David Bowen. So enjoy this lovely piece of music, and please do get in touch with us. Drop us a voice message even if you would like as well.
jingle? Quick one? Yeah? Okay.
Queen of Radio Maria, pray for us.
Welcome back to Radio Maria Ireland. Thanks indeed for your company here. A lovely piece of music then, wasn't it? And a little bit unusual. I suppose that Tara is well talented at surprising us with nice little music there. And do keep a watch out, because indeed our playlist is going to be what's the word? Reinvigorated might be a good word. The wedding march you heard before the Chatechesis this morning is going to be given its marching orders. It's been allowed to march down the aisle as opposed to up the aisle. And we'll just do a bit of a revamp on some of our classical music in favour of some of the beautiful inspirational music, such as the piece you just heard, sung by David Bone. I thank God for this most amazing day. And Tara reliably informs me he sang every part of that. So a deep resonant bass in there. And he must have really been singing falsetto for the real. How he hit the high notes, I have no idea. But recorded, so you know the way you can record your sound, layer the tracks kind of one on top of the other. You can do it. Shane does that on a regular basis, and you can kind of build it up
together.
And it's quite a skill, but very impressive, beautiful the way it was done. So very good. Thanks for that indeed. So, as I say, don't forget all the wonderful things going on here on Radio Maria, our conference this afternoon, especially between 2 and 5 as well. Now, during the week, it was the 2nd of February. Well, the 1st of February, of course, was St. Bridget. We had our St. Bridget's cross here. Did you get one yourself, Roisin?
Well, I have one at home, Father, you know.
Yes, we have them. And I was get a nice little long session on St. Bridget early on in the week there for you. So have a look back at some of the previous videos up or down on Facebook, wherever they are, of the different Chatechesis during the week.
Yes.
And some interesting topics covered. Wednesday, the 2nd of February, of course, was a day for consecrated life.
Beautiful, yes.
And Pope, of course, strongly being a consecrated himself as a Jesuit, encouraging indeed all our men and women living in consecrated life. Recalling, of course, Simeon and Anna, the presentation in the temple.
Yes.
They, in effect, were living the consecrated life in the temple morning.
She was 86 years of age.
Her days of girlhood over. That's right. You were saying you were revealing the age of your daughter earlier on. Her days of girlhood.
Definitely over.
That's right. So Simeon and Anna then waiting in the temple for the fulfillment of the promise God had made to his people. So such is the nature of the consecrated life. And I suppose for every good follower of Christ, like waiting in hopeful anticipation, waiting in joyful hope. And in the meantime, working, not kind of sitting back and saying, okay, is it there yet? What time is it? But actually involved in the bringing about of God's kingdom, certainly. And then how Simeon is moved by the Spirit when he sees the Christ child coming and taking him in his arms. He must have, you can imagine, kind of rushing forward and moving forward.
Yes.
This is it. This is the child.
Yes.
Can I hold him, please?
Magnificent, Father, yes.
And Her Lady must have marvelled, saying, who is this man? Hey, can you take my baby? What's going on here?
He was waiting for it, seemingly. He was told about it a long time before that was going to happen, and he was waiting for it.
He was told that he would not see death until he had set eyes on and the Spirit moved him to come to the temple that day.
Yes.
So it's a lovely one. So it's a lovely moment, I suppose, that feast, and well chosen to celebrate consecrated life and all that our religious do for us in bearing witness to that consecrated life. Sister Mara Rose, of course, of the Dominicans, the National Dominicans in Limerick, is joining us now on a Saturday morning for a breakfast show.
I've heard her, yes, Father. It's lovely.
And so it's nice to, like that, kind of spread our wings a little bit more and bring the consecrated religious and the women especially to come to the mic. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
So the Pope was praying especially for all those in consecrated life and societies of apostolic life. And he said, here's a question that all consecrated in persons in particular need to act, that is, who mostly moves us? Is it the Holy Spirit, like Simeon, or the spirit of this world? We had that in the readings a little earlier as well. Take your pick.
I don't think we'll pick on the spirit of this world, Father.
No, the spirit's world is very fickle and very, you can be on a pedestal one day and then they can be pulling your statue down the next day, and that the more you kind of are elevated in a worldly sense, the higher the drop, the bigger the fall.
And the harder it is to do, to stay connected, with God.
Correct, that the world can close in and distract and divert badly. So Pope Francis putting that before religious, and I suppose to all of us really as well, and that sometimes we risk, he says, losing our bearings, getting caught up in 1,000 different things and obsessing about minor issues or plunging into new projects. So the Pope is reminding us the heart of everything is Christ, embracing him as the Lord of our lives. So always good to have that little reminder. Again, come back to Christ, and the things of the world are there for a purpose, but the purpose in the end is always the Lord. So now, Roisin, our time has escaped us again.
Flying by, Father.
Flies past. What can we do?
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, sure. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. So thanks a million for joining us on visually on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to disconnect the camera now shortly. But please do stay with us. Indeed, if you're listening in, we're going to pray together now, our Angelus and our midday prayer.